From Zero to Hero. The journey of Mark Zuckerberg in building the digital empire. Welcome to Glorica 26, where we explore some of the most transformative stories in the world of business and technology. In this episode, we dive into the story of Mark Zuckerberg, a young man who turned a college project into one of the largest digital empires the world has ever seen. Mark Zuckerberg, now synonymous with Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, Messenger, and Oculus VR, started from humble beginnings. But how did he go from being a student at Harvard to becoming one of the most influential figures in the tech world? This is the journey of how a college dropout became a tech titan, revolutionizing social media and digital communication, facing challenges, overcoming criticisms, and building an empire that now spans across multiple continents. Let's start from the beginning, where Zuckerberg's journey was not as smooth as it might seem today. The humble beginnings at Harvard. In 2002, Mark Zuckerberg entered Harvard University with a passion for computer programming and an ambition to create something that could change the way people interacted with each other. Mark was not your average college student. While most of his peers focused on their studies and social life, Mark had bigger ideas. Ideas that were more connected to the future of digital communication than anything at the time. During his sophomore year, Zuckerberg began working on a project called FaceMash, a website that allowed students to rate each other's attractiveness. The website's success was short-lived as it was shut down by the university for violating privacy policies. But this experience laid the groundwork for something bigger. It revealed Zuckerberg's talent for creating interactive websites and ignited his desire to build a more substantial social platform. This led to the birth of the Facebook. In early 2004, Zuckerberg and his friends, Eduardo Saverin, Andrew McCullum, Chris Hughes, and Dustin Moskovitz, created Facebook in Zuckerberg's dorm room. Initially, it was designed to be a social networking site exclusively for Harvard students. But something about the project quickly caught the attention of others, sparking the beginnings of what would soon become a digital revolution. The early struggles and criticism. Facebook was a small, exclusive platform. It started at Harvard and then expanded to other Ivy League schools, and eventually to colleges across the United States. However, even as the platform began gaining traction, Zuckerberg faced intense criticism. People thought the idea was too niche, too limited to become a global sensation. Many saw the website as a fad, something that would eventually fade away like so many other failed projects before it. Moreover, Zuckerberg's ambitious plan to expand Facebook quickly was met with skepticism. Investors, tech professionals, and even some of his peers at Harvard questioned whether Facebook could ever achieve the scale that Zuckerberg imagined. Was this just another college project that would fade into obscurity? Or was it the seed of something revolutionary? Even worse, in 2004, Cameron and Tyler Winklevoss, two Harvard students, accused Zuckerberg of stealing their idea for a social networking site. They claimed that Zuckerberg had promised to work with them on the site, only to launch Facebook behind their backs. The legal battle that ensued became a significant challenge for Zuckerberg. Although he eventually settled the lawsuit, it created further tensions and added to the criticism surrounding his project. The turning point. From criticism to global dominance. Despite all the negativity, Zuckerberg's resolve did not waver. His vision was clear. Facebook wasn't just going to be another social networking site. It was going to be a platform that would change how people communicated online. By 2005, Facebook was no longer just an exclusive site for college students. It opened up to anyone with a valid email address, giving it the push it needed to grow into something larger than Zuckerberg had ever imagined. In 2006, Zuckerberg made the decision to drop out of Harvard and move to Palo Alto, California, to focus entirely on Facebook. This was a pivotal moment. Zuckerberg's decision to leave Harvard and pursue his vision full-time was not an easy one. He was, after all, walking away from a prestigious university, a safety net that many would kill for. But Zuckerberg believed in Facebook's potential to the point of risking everything. His decision to drop out eventually paid off, but not without intense pressure and self-doubt. The company's first major breakthrough came in 2007 when Facebook became profitable, securing an initial investment from Microsoft. This was a game changer. Facebook's valuation skyrocketed, And suddenly, Mark Zuckerberg was a young billionaire. But Zuckerberg wasn't content with just having a successful social network. He had bigger plans. Expanding the empire. Acquisitions that shaped Facebook's future. As Facebook grew, Zuckerberg made strategic acquisitions that would cement the company's dominance in the digital world. In 2012, Facebook acquired Instagram for $1 billion, a move that was initially met with skepticism. Instagram at the time was just an app for photo sharing, yet Zuckerberg saw its potential to tap into the mobile-first generation and expand Facebook's audience, especially among younger users who were moving away from the main platform. Then, in 2014, Zuckerberg took another bold step by acquiring WhatsApp for $19 billion. WhatsApp, a messaging app with over 2 billion users today, fit perfectly into Zuckerberg's vision of connecting people on a global scale. The acquisition of Messenger, which started as a feature within Facebook, also helped solidify Facebook's dominance as a multi-platform social media giant. Zuckerberg's acquisitions went beyond social networks. His purchase of Oculus VR in 2014 for $2 billion marked a new frontier for Facebook, as the company dove into the world of virtual reality. With all of these acquisitions, Zuckerberg's reach expanded far beyond the original Facebook platform. It became clear that Facebook was no longer just a social networking site. It was now a digital empire that encompassed multiple facets of online interaction, from social media and messaging to virtual reality. The price of success: privacy issues and public backlash. As Facebook's reach expanded, so did the scrutiny. Over the years, the company has faced numerous privacy issues, the most notable being the Cambridge Analytica scandal in 2018, where millions of users' data were harvested without their consent for political advertising. This led to widespread backlash, calls for regulation, and congressional hearings. Zuckerberg was called to testify before Congress to address the issue, further thrusting him into the spotlight. These controversies and privacy concerns have continually challenged Zuckerberg's leadership. Despite the scandals, Facebook continued to grow, but it became increasingly clear that the company's success came with a price. Critics accused Facebook of enabling the spread of misinformation, playing a role in the erosion of privacy, and even influencing political elections. These challenges raised questions about the ethical responsibilities of tech companies and the potential dangers of monopolies in the digital space. The future of Facebook. Beyond the horizon. Despite these challenges, Mark Zuckerberg continues to steer Facebook, now Meta Platforms, toward the future. In recent years, Zuckerberg has doubled down on the concept of the metaverse, a virtual reality space where people can interact, work, and socialize in an immersive digital environment. The company has already invested billions into developing virtual reality and augmented reality technologies, aiming to create a new frontier for human interaction. The vision of a virtual metaverse is Zuckerberg's long-term goal: to create a digital world that transcends the limitations of our physical reality. However, the future remains uncertain. Facebook faces increasing competition from platforms like TikTok, which has rapidly grown in popularity, especially among younger users. Additionally, with rising concerns over privacy and regulation, Facebook's place in the digital world is constantly evolving. But one thing is clear: Mark Zuckerberg's journey from a Harvard dropout to the head of a digital empire has been nothing short of extraordinary. Facebook has shaped the way we communicate, consume information, and connect with one another. Whether you love it or hate it, there's no denying that Zuckerberg and Facebook have forever changed the digital landscape. As we look ahead to the next chapter in the digital revolution, we can only imagine what's next for Mark Zuckerberg and his empire. One thing is for certain: his story is far from over. The challenges of dominance, privacy, politics, and trust. As Facebook grew, so did its responsibilities. In the early years, the company was celebrated for connecting people, democratizing information, and providing a platform for free expression. However, as the platform grew to over 2.8 billion active users globally, Facebook's size and influence also made it a target for scrutiny. The impact of the platform on privacy, politics, And the spread of misinformation has led to increasing calls for regulation and accountability. One of the first major scandals that rocked Facebook's reputation was the Cambridge Analytica scandal in 2018. The data analytics firm had harvested the personal information of millions of Facebook users without their consent. This data was then used to target political ads and potentially influence the outcome of elections, including the 2016 US presidential election. The revelation was a wake-up call for Facebook's executives, who had long prided themselves on the open and free nature of the platform. The scandal raised serious questions about the ethical responsibilities of social media companies and the way they handle user data. In the aftermath of Cambridge Analytica, Facebook faced heightened criticism and calls for regulation from governments around the world. Legislators demanded greater transparency on how Facebook collects and uses data, and users began to question how much of their personal information was being shared without their knowledge. The trust that Zuckerberg and Facebook had built with users began to erode, and the company faced increased scrutiny from both the public and policymakers. Zuckerberg, ever the visionary, responded to these challenges by focusing on privacy and transparency. In 2019, he announced a shift in Facebook's long-term strategy, pivoting towards privacy-focused communication. This shift was epitomized by the company's push to integrate more encrypted messaging services into its platforms, including WhatsApp and Messenger. Zuckerberg's commitment to privacy was a direct response to the backlash Facebook faced over user data and privacy concerns, but it also served as a recognition that the future of digital platforms would require a delicate balance between innovation and user protection. However, even as Zuckerberg navigated these complex issues, Facebook continued to face challenges related to misinformation, fake news, and its role in influencing public discourse. The platform became a key player in the spread of political content, often without adequate checks to ensure the information was accurate or credible. The rise of so-called fake news and conspiracy theories on Facebook led to concerns about the platform's impact on democracy. In response, Facebook began to invest heavily in content moderation and fact-checking initiatives. But these measures often drew criticism for being either too lenient or too stringent, depending on one's perspective. Zuckerberg's leadership has been continuously tested by the rise of new social media platforms, each challenging Facebook's dominance in its own way. TikTok, for example, has captured the attention of younger audiences, offering a more visually engaging, short-form video platform that has become wildly popular in a matter of years. In response, Facebook has launched features like Reels on Instagram to compete, but it remains to be seen whether these efforts will be enough to reclaim younger users. Building an empire beyond Facebook. Meta and the Metaverse. Despite these ongoing challenges, Zuckerberg's ambition remains unshaken. In late 2021, Zuckerberg made a bold move to reshape Facebook's identity, renaming the company Meta Platforms and making a massive bet on the metaverse. The metaverse is a vision of a fully immersive digital world where people can interact in 3D virtual spaces, work, socialize, play games, and even shop. Meta's vision for the metaverse is not just about creating virtual worlds, but is designed to transform every aspect of how people interact online. Through a combination of virtual reality, VR, and augmented reality, AR, Meta aims to create a fully integrated digital ecosystem that connects people in a way Facebook never could. In the metaverse, Zuckerberg imagines a world where users can attend virtual meetings, socialize with friends in digital spaces, and even work in new forms of collaboration. The development of Oculus, Meta's VR headset, is a key part of this vision. Zuckerberg has invested billions into the development of virtual reality, and the company has launched various VR products aimed at bringing the metaverse closer to reality. Horizon Worlds, Meta's virtual social platform, is already up and running, allowing users to create and interact with virtual spaces, avatars, and environments. The concept of the metaverse could represent the next frontier of digital interaction. But the road ahead is not without hurdles. The metaverse is still in its infancy, and much of its success will depend on the adoption of VR technology by the broader public. VR headsets remain relatively expensive, and their adoption is limited by factors like cost, accessibility, and the development of compelling content. Moreover, The technical challenges of creating a truly immersive and seamless metaverse are immense. Despite these obstacles, Zuckerberg believes the metaverse will be the next big thing, just as social media was a decade ago. In addition to virtual reality, Meta has also embraced the possibilities of augmented reality, AR. Through the development of AR glasses, Meta aims to integrate digital content with the physical world in a way that enhances real-world experiences. Whether it's overlaying digital information on the physical environment or interacting with virtual objects in the real world. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the journey of Mark Zuckerberg and the digital empire he built. Stay tuned for more insightful stories on Glorica 26, where we continue to explore the fascinating world of innovation and technology.